fascinating story of Wu Zetian, China's only legitimate female ruler. This video brings to you the story of Wu Zetian, the only legitimate female ruler of China. Wu Zetian was born in 624 with the name of Wu Zhao and became Empress of China from 660 until the time of her death in 705. Her period as Empress was first through others, with a final 15 years ruling in her own right. She first ruled as Empress Consort through her husband Emperor Gaozong, then as Empress Dowager through her sons Emperors Zhongzong and Ruizong. This was not unprecedented in Chinese history. In 690, she founded and ruled as Empress Regnant of the Wu Zhou dynasty until 705 as the only female sovereign in Chinese history to be regarded as a legitimate leader. During her reign of 45 years, China grew larger to become one of the world's great powers at that time. The culture and economy were revitalized and corruption within the royal court was reduced. She was eventually removed from the position of power during a coup and died just a few months later. Early life as Wu Zhao. In her early life, Wu Zhao, as she was known at that time, was a concubine of Emperor Gaozong. After he died, she married his ninth son. He then became Emperor Gaozong upon the death of his father. In 655, Wu Zhao became Gaozong's Huanghou, or Empress Consort, the highest ranking of his wives. Even before this time, she had considerable power. Politically, and upon being appointed Empress Consort, she began to control the imperial court. Gaozong suffered a debilitating stroke in 660, and Wu became the administrator of the court, a position equal to that of an emperor until Upon entering the harem of Emperor Gaozong as a young woman, Wu found herself in competition with Empress Wang and pure consort Xiao for the affection of the emperor. She achieved his attention through dubious means, having her two main rivals expelled and killed. Once she was married to Gaozong in 655, her rise to power was swift. Wu Zetian was described as a strong, charismatic, vengeful, ambitious, well-educated woman who craved the attention and affection of her husband. She was the most powerful and influential woman in the royal court at a time when the Tang dynasty was at its peak, the power behind the throne. Historians agree that Wu was more decisive and proactive than her husband, and that she was the real power behind the throne during more than 20 years of Gaozong's reign until his death. She was partially in control from November 660 and in total control from January 665. Wu presided over the royal court alongside her husband and held the court independently whenever the emperor was unwell. Her perusal and consent were required before any document or order became valid. Gaozong sought the views of his wife on all matters before making any major decisions, with Wu being granted honours and privileges not given to any empress before or since. After the death of Gaozong as Empress Dowager and Regent, Wu held power completely and solely. She used absolute power, more forcefully and violently, suppressing overt and covert opponents. 7 years later, Wu seized the throne and began the Wu Zhou dynasty to become the only empress regnant in Chinese history. Wu's role after the death of Emperor Gaozong. Upon the death of Emperor Gaozong in 683, rather than entering retirement as was customary for royal widows, or not interfering in the governing of the incoming emperor once he reached the age of 17, Wu broke with tradition and took control with absolute power, refusing to allow any of her sons to rule. In 690, she seized the throne and changed the name of the country from Tang to that of Wu Zhou, changing the name of the royal family from Li to Wu, and held a formal ceremony to crown her emperor. Empress Wu is considered to have been one of the finest rulers in Chinese history due to her strong leadership and effective government. The expansion of territory included land acquired deep into Central Asia, as well as wars on the Korean peninsula. In Korea, her armies first allied with Silla against Goguryeo before fighting against Silla for control of former territory of Goguryeo. Within China, there were reforms in social class within Chinese society, education and literature, as well as state support for Taoism, Buddhism and Confucianism. Wu played a key role in reforming the imperial examination system, which encouraged capable officials to work in governance through a peaceful and well-governed state. This in turn improved the level of bureaucracy that ensured competence was more effective than family connections. She was also instrumental in the construction of major buildings and monuments, including the wordless stele that stands today at the Qian Mausoleum, a few kilometers outside Xi'an. In addition to her political life, she was also the mother of 4 sons, 3 of which held the title of emperor, although one only posthumously. One of her grandsons was the controversial Emperor Zhongzong of Tang, who was ruling China at the point when the Tang dynasty went into a sharp decline. Names and titles. Throughout history, Wu Zetian has been referred to by various names and titles. In the era that she lived, women's birth names were rarely recorded, and after rising to power, she changed her name to Wu Zhao, which may in fact be her original name. As is Chinese tradition even today, she retained her patronymic name Wu after marriage. Emperor Gaozong referred to her as Wu Mei, meaning glamorous. She is also known by Chinese people as Wu Mei Niang and Wu Hao during her time as Empress Consort and Empress Dowager. She was not known as Wu Zetian until becoming the Empress regnant. Since the time of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China during the Qin dynasty, the title of Huangdi translates as emperor. Wu was the only woman in China's long history to assume the title of Huangdi. Wu Zetian broke precedent when she founded the Wu Zhou dynasty in 690 and adopted the title Sacred and Divine Huangdi until she was ousted from power in 705. Background and early life. The Wu family clan originates from what is today the city of Taiyuan, the capital of Shanxi province. Although Wu Zetian's birthplace is not recorded, it may have been within Shanxi, Sichuan, or even Chang'an, today's Xi'an. She was born into a prosperous family with connections to Emperor Gaozong, the founder of the Tang dynasty. After founding the Tang, Gaozong gave generous donations to the Wu family, including money, grain, land, and clothing. Wu Zhou, Wu Zetian's father, was appointed in a succession of senior posts, including governor of Yangzhou, Lizhou, and Jingzhou. Encouraged by her father to gain a good education, a trait that was uncommon for women, Wu Zetian learned to read and studied many topics, including politics, government affairs, literature, and music. At the age of 14, Wu Zetian was taken to the imperial palace to be a concubine or lesser wife to the emperor. Her role was that of a type of secretary, so she was able to continue the pursuit of knowledge. While in this role, she was not favoured by Emperor Gaozong. When the emperor died in 649, his youngest son, Li Zhe, succeeded him as Emperor Gaozong. During his father's lifetime, Li Zhe had conducted an affair with Wu Zetian. There are conflicting accounts of the next period of her life. Some state as a consort of the deceased emperor, Wu Zetian was sent to Ganya Temple to see out the remainder of her life in a monastic institution before being brought back into the palace after meeting with the new emperor. Other reports claim she remained within the palace. Whatever the truth may be, at some point Emperor Gaozong made Wu the title of Zhao Yi, or Lady of Bright Deportment. She was in favour, and her two main rivals to his affection were out of favour. Rise to power. By the year 650, Consort Wu was the highest ranking of the concubines, and she soon progressed to the title of Hoàng or Empress Consort, the highest position a woman could hold within the Chinese emperor, and gradually gained influence and control of the empire's governance during Gaozong's reign. After the death of Emperor Gaozong in 683, Empress Wu became the Empress Dowager and regent, with power falling slowly into her hands. She proceeded to depose Emperor Zhongzong for displaying independence with Wu, keeping a firm hold on the power she had attained. Wu then appointed her youngest son as Emperor Ruizong, but she was the absolute ruler, presiding alone and preventing Ruizong from any active role of governance. In 690, she forced Ruizong to yield the throne to her, and in doing so, she created the Wu Zhou dynasty, ruling as its emperor until 705. Wu Zetian was regarded as ruthless in her endeavours to grab and hold onto power. Wu Zetian's role as Empress Dowager. Upon the death of her husband Emperor Gaozong, Wu became Empress Dowager or Huang Tai-ho, then regent, and gained full power over the empire, claiming senior authority for herself. Other princes were exiled in favour of her third son Li Zhe, who became heir apparent. Gaozong had made provisions in his will that Li Zhe would become the next emperor, with Wu continuing to have influence on all governmental matters, and as his father had done, the new emperor should look to Wu in regard to any important matters, military or civilian, rewards or penalties, and get her approval. Therefore, Wu remained the sole decision maker. In the second month of 684, Li Zhe ascended to the imperial throne and was known by his temple name of Zhongzong. He remained as emperor for just 6 weeks before his mother, Wu Zetian, deposed him. Zhongzong had married a woman from the Wei family, and the new empress, Empress Wei, attempted to place herself in the same position of importance that had been enjoyed by Empress Wu. Empress Wei's father was appointed as prime minister, as well as other positions of importance, to his in-laws. Wu Zetian had spies everywhere, and Zhongzong's father-in-law was accused of treason and sent into seclusion. Zhongzong was reduced to the title of Prince of Liuling and exiled. Zhongzong was immediately replaced by Wu's youngest son, Li Dan, the Prince of Yu. Li Dan became Emperor Gaozong, although Wu remained the absolute ruler in both substance and appearance. She did not follow the customary pretense of hiding behind a curtain as she had during Gaozong's reign. Her reign was fully recognized by all in the royal court. Despite being emperor, Ruizong never moved into the imperial quarters, never appeared at imperial functions. He remained a virtual prisoner within the inner quarters. With Wu controlling the imperial court, officials were forbidden from meeting with Ruizong, and he was not permitted to rule on matters of state. Wu made Luoyang a co-equal capital, and the shrine of Wu ancestors was expanded, giving them posthumous honours. The Wu ancestral shrine was enlarged to become equal in size to that of an emperor's ancestral shrine. By 685, Empress Dowager Wu was having an affair with the Buddhist monk Hua Yi, and over the next few years, the monk received progressively greater honours. By 686, copper mailboxes had been installed outside the imperial government building with the intention of people informing on others, as Wu suspected many officials of opposing her. Wu's secret police began to rise in power as false accusations, torture and executions were conducted. In 690, Wu took the final step to becoming the Empress Regnant of the newly proclaimed Wu Zhou dynasty. On taking the title of Huangdi, Wu ignored the traditional Chinese order of succession that forbade women to ascend to the throne, and any opposition was immediately quashed by her secret police. Wu Zetian's reign as Empress Regnant. In 690, Wu Zetian had Wu Zhou yield the throne to her and established the Wu Zhou dynasty with Wu Zetian as the imperial ruler. The early years of her reign were characterized by the terror inflicted by her secret police. This moderated as the years progressed. She was also recognized as a capable and attentive ruler with an ability to select capable men to serve as her officials, which was admired during the remainder of the Tang dynasty as well as in subsequent ones. Shortly after taking the throne, Wu elevated the status of Buddhism above that of Taoism and officially sanctioned Buddhism by having temples built in each prefecture belonging to the capital regions of both capitals, Luoyang and Chang'an. 9 senior monks were also elevated to the rank of duke. 7 generations of her Wu ancestors were enshrined at the imperial ancestral temple, and sacrifices were made to honor the Tang emperors Gaozong and her late husband Gaozong. Wu faced a dilemma over her succession. When she took the throne, she named former Emperor Ruizong Crown Prince, also bestowing him with the name Wu. Others questioned this and said she should choose someone from the Wu clan to replace her. Eventually, she kept her son Li Dan Ruizong as Crown Prince, with the theory that a direct blood relative would be the better option. In 692, under orders issued by Wu Zetian, General Wang Xiaojie attacked the Tibetan Empire and recaptured the 4 garrisons of Kucha, Yutian, Kashgar and Suyab that had been lost to the Tibetans in 670. There were numerous accusations against her son Li Dan, the most serious being that he was plotting treason. An investigation was launched and Li Dan's servants were arrested and subsequently tortured. One of his servants, An Jinghan, strongly proclaimed Li Dan's innocence and cut his own belly open to swear to that fact. Wu learned of this event and ordered doctors to save him and then end any investigation into Li Dan. Wu Zetian's former lover, Hua Yi, the Buddhist monk, set fire to the imperial meeting hall and the heavenly hall in 695 in an act of jealousy because Wu had taken another lover. Wu ordered that her former lover be executed. In 697, Wu began another relationship, this time with 2 lovers, the brothers Zhang Yezi and Zhang Changzong. They were honored within the palace and eventually became dukes. There were repeated calls for Wu's successor to be from the Wu family. Instead, her son, Li Zhe, was recalled from exile and offered the position of crown prince and replaced his younger brother in that role. By 699, Wu Zetian realized she was getting old and feared that after her death, Li Zhe and the Wu clan would not get along, so she made her son and several clan princes swear an oath of loyalty to each other. As Wu Zetian grew older, Yang Yizhe and Yang Changzong became increasingly more powerful as Wu relied upon them more to handle the affairs of state. This was discussed and criticized in secret by her grandson Li Chongrun, Li Zhe's son, the Prince of Shao. Wu Zetian's granddaughter Li Xuanhui, Lady Yongtai, and Li Xuanhui's husband Wu Yanji, the Prince of Wei. Somehow the discussion was leaked and reported to Wu Zetian, who ordered each of them to commit suicide. In the autumn of 704, accusations began to emerge claiming that Zhang Yize and Zhang Zhongzong were involved in corrupt practices. The alleged allegations also accused 3 of their brothers as being involved. That same winter, Wu Zetian became seriously ill, and only the 2 Zhang brothers were permitted to see her. Even her chancellors were not permitted into the room with her. This led to more speculation, this time not of corruption, but that they were plotting to take over the throne, among repeated accusations of their committing treason. After a short period of recovery, Wu Zetian was seriously ill once again, and a plot was organized to kill the Zhang brothers. With agreement from Wu's son and heir, Li Zhou, the assassination took place on 20th February 705. Following this, Changsheng Hall, where Wu Zetian was residing, was surrounded. It was reported to Wu that the 2 brothers were dead, executed for treason, and she was forced to yield the throne to Li Zhou. The next day, an edict was issued in her name that made Li Zhou regent, and the throne was passed to him the following day. Under heavy guard, Wu Zetian was moved to Shanyang Palace and honored with the title Empress Regent Zetian Dashang. On the 3rd of March, the Tang dynasty was restored, formally ending that of the Wu Zhou. Wu Zetian died on the 16th of December, and in 706 her son, Emperor Zhongzong, had his father, Emperor Gaozong, interred alongside his mother in a joint burial at the Qianling Mausoleum, close to the capital of Chang'an. Zhongzong also buried at the site his brother Li Xian, son Li Chongrun, daughter Li Xuanhui, and Lady Yongtai, posthumously honored as Princess Yongtai, all victims of Wu Zetian's wrath. That is all for this video. If you have enjoyed watching and it has shown you a little detail of life here in China, then your subscribing to my channel would mean a lot to me. Thank you for watching. Make sure you click on the link. Till the next video, and until the next time, goodbye for now.